I'm just going to donate my body to science.
Oh, that's perfectly fine, Adam. That's actually very admirable. Do you have the membership card that came with that when you signed up?
No, I didn't sign up for anything yet.
Okay, so let me explain how that program works. You have to actually enroll in the program through one of the hospitals or universities nearby. You have to actually be accepted into the program. And then when you die, one of 5 things has to have not happened. Well, you can't have died 100 miles away or more from home. You can't have died an unwitnessed death. You can't have died in any type of suspicious criminal or an incident that required the medical examiner to investigate your death. They can't take you if they're full. That's a thing. If there's no room in the inn, there's no more room. And they can't take you if you contracted a communicable disease. Remember COVID? They can't. There's a lot of reasons why they can't take you. So let's at least establish a backup plan in the event that might take place.
We're going to be talking today just about different objections and how to overcome those sort of things that could really maybe help add some additional sales. We're going to talk about maybe some ways to overcome objections even before they come up. And what I mean by that is just by the way that we present, kind of bringing some of these things up before the prospect has the opportunity to even give you that objection. So let's go ahead and get started. Feel free to any comments, any questions. I'm going to have a list of different objections on here. If you think of any others, feel free to add them. And heck, maybe you'll even be able to stump us. Who knows? Hey, Chris, how you doing?
I got my objection notes up here. I've got you right here. I'm ready to go.
All right. Sounds good. So anyways, yeah, let's just kind of go through this list of objections. And like I said, maybe there'll be some people that come up with one, too, that maybe we never run into. Who knows? The first one, I would say it's probably the most common objection. Everything sounds good, but I have to think about it and get back to you. And, we'll kind of go back and forth with this, Chris. I think me and you are pretty similar when it comes to how we handle these different objections and that. But to me, the whole I have to think about it sort of thing, at least in final expense, when we're dealing with people that are living on a fixed income, I think a good portion of that objection is just the fact that they just don't have the money right now. They don't want to admit that they don't have the money right now. And rather than telling us that they just can't pay it right now, they'd rather just tell you that they got to think about it. So, I mean, the way I usually overcome the whole I have to think about it objection, I just simply say, if it's about the money, I don't need any money today. Majority of our clients get paid when they receive their Social Security once a month. You get paid the first, the third, or the second, third, or fourth Wednesday. And then they'll tell me either the second, third, or fourth Wednesday or the first or the third. And I just set it up for that time. And I tell them that if that was the reason, well, we can move forward and don't worry. We don't need the money right now. I mean, what do you think, Chris?
Well, I think it's important to recognize that generally speaking, objections, any of the objections we're going to talk about today are rooted in basically 3 different things: likability, trust, money, and then I guess the 4th one is probably urgency. So what they're saying to you right now all kind of comes back to that original issue. Did you get them to like you? Do they trust you? And do they have a need that you've created in that type of scenario? Also, the whole idea of I need to think about it is completely contrary to what you're actually doing, because what you're actually doing is an emotional purchase. This isn't a logical purchase where you actually do have to think about it. Do I need this car? Is this car large enough? How is the fuel efficiency? This is an emotional purchase because they're never going to use it. And that's how our clientele has functioned their entire life anyway. So remember, emotion, not logic. There is nothing to think about. Do they like you? Do they trust you? And then more importantly, if you do get caught in that trap, I like to re-ask the objection. So Adam, what I'm hearing you say to me right now is you need to think about it. Can you tell me a little bit more about what that means? And then I'm going to get what the real problem is from there and be able to unpack what they're actually concerned about.
Yeah, no, that's true. And I used to say that all the time too. What exactly is it that you need to think about? I mean, 9 times out of 10, we know the need is there. They know they need it. We wouldn't be there if they didn't need it. And I think a lot of times it takes someone like us showing up to say, hey, it's time to just get this done. You've been putting it off long enough. Having a little something is better than not having anything at all. So, why don't we just start with the lowest option? We don't need the money today, and we can go ahead and set this up for the beginning of September. And then hopefully be able to move forward from there.
I think real quick, you just also did
Yeah.
something that I think is so crucial in overcoming objections, setting an appointment, knocking the door, anything, is you reclosed it's always backwards on StreamYard. You reclosed the issue, you addressed it, and then you reclosed it. So it's all a conversational football. If I throw you the football, you answer my question, you don't throw it back. Now I don't have a turn in the conversation. So you price drop closed in that conversation, then you re-asked for the close, not just answer the objection and then not know what to do next.
Yep. Before we get to the next objection, I wanted to talk to you a little bit. I know we've talked about this in the past, are smoke screens, where the objection that the client is providing to you is not the true objection. I had one a few weeks back. This was maybe about a month or so ago now. And I know we've talked about this the last few weeks, how I've had this appointment setter working with me. And anyways, so my appointment setter sets up this appointment on this lead. This was actually a lead that was like from December. But anyways, I showed up and the lady's like, I talked to my brother about this. He didn't even want you coming by today. He said, I got plenty of insurance, but you know what? I don't care what he thinks. And then, so we go through the whole presentation. I put some quotes together. There was one that was like $50 a month, one that was like 75, one that was like 100. And we get, and then I basically just say, what do you think would be affordable? And she goes, well, you know what? I'm going to have to get back to you. I got to talk to my brother about this. And like the first words out of her mouth when I showed up at the house were, my brother didn't want me meeting with you today, but I don't care what he thinks. So how come all of a sudden it matters what he thinks when you told me when I first got here that it doesn't matter? So, and I kind of threw it right back at her. And anyways, I ended up, she's just, well, yeah, I don't really care, but I think I still need to run it by him, this and that. I put together another quote for $37 a month. And she goes, well, that looks better. I don't think I'll have to talk to him about that. So it was a money issue. It had nothing to do with the fact that she needed to talk to her brother about it. To me, that's that smoke screen like we're talking about. You run into things like that too?
Yeah, I think it's important, and I'm going to be high level and work my way in on this, is there's nothing to object to until you've shown them the price and you've completed your presentation. Anything up and until then is merely a diversion from your straight line sales approach. So they're trying to take you out into left field when you're supposed to be rounding the bases, or whatever analogy you want to give. A lot of times it's a smoke screen when you re-ask the objection and then you uncover what the actual problem is. And then if you get all the way to the end and they actually have an objection, typically it's not an objection, it's a buying question. Like they don't know how to phrase it in that sense, but they're really asking for more information to be able to make a purchasing decision. We get into our heads that it's an objection and we have to overcome it and combat it, but maybe they're just asking a question because if you've gotten all the way to this point of the process, they're qualified, they're interested, they like you, they probably want to buy from you more times than you realize.
Yeah. And again, like we said, I think that a lot of times, that just kind of goes back to that one most common objection. I have to think about it and how it's so often, maybe other types of insurance are different, maybe, but with final expense, I just know that it's usually about the money. So much objections just revolve right around the fact that they're really tight with their money. They just don't have a lot to work with. So, all right, let's move on to the next here. I don't want anyone getting into my bank account for anything. How do you handle that one, Chris?
That's a good one. There's a couple different ways you can handle this. You could story sell the classic. Well, the last time Miss Johnson was in the hospital and she was mailing in the bill, then she wasn't mailing in the bill, and then she was dead and there was no insurance. That's a perfectly logical way to handle that one. The other one is you can just hit them with straight logic. Miss Johnson, that's not how this works anymore. There's no collecting. There's no mailing it in. Ever since COVID, blame COVID. Everyone loves to blame COVID for something. There's nobody in an office to collect your premium out of an envelope and then take it to the bank. So it just doesn't option anymore. How it works is this. You have to decide if you sell with comedy or with seriousness when you answer these questions. And also, I think sometimes when they throw these haymakers at you at the end, they really just want to see how serious you are, how confident you are. They're not actually objecting to giving their bank account. They just need a little bit more confidence that you know what you're talking about. If they say that to me, how I would handle it is pretty simple. Adam, I understand you're concerned about sharing your bank information. Can you tell me a little bit more about why that is? And sometimes what's going to happen is he's going to tell me a story about how the cable company messed up his account, how Boost Mobile overdrafted him, or something completely unrelated to final expense life insurance. And then what you can say is, Adam, I totally understand, but the good news is this isn't how this works. This is regulated by the state. We work directly with Social Security and your institution. Totally different than how Comcast messed you up. So why don't you go ahead and grab that information for me while I get something out of my bag?
I like that. That's good.
I also think it's important that you ask yourself, how are you asking the question? There's the head down maneuver takes you out of the awkward phase when you're asking for social, asking for weird medical problems, asking for bank information. How are you asking the question? Because if you're creating the problem, maybe that's why. Like, Adam, what's your bank account information? That's weird. Like, put your head down, get into your iPad, look like you're busy, take the stress out of the situation, or draw a correlation. Adam, I understand you have a concern about this today, but do you pay anything else through the bank? You do. All right, perfect. This isn't really much different than how you pay X, Y, or Z. So go ahead and grab that for me.
Yeah, no, that's good. But I always say let's paint this picture. Let's look at this for a second. Let's just say that we were sending you a bill every month and you were good with paying it. But then let's say that you got sick. You ended up in the hospital. Everybody's worried about you, but they're not thinking about your bills. They're just thinking about you staying healthy and getting better. And I mean, you could end up missing a payment or maybe even a few and end up losing your policy. But as long as you know this is coming directly out of that account each month, at least you know you're never going to have to worry about losing it. It's very accurate. They're never going to take out more than what they should. If they did, they get themselves in a lot of trouble. So that's just kind of, like I said, almost like a last case sort of thing. I just kind of like to paint that picture, maybe put a little bit of fear in them. But I think you're right. I think a lot of it is just like a trust factor. And if you don't do a good job of presenting and them getting to like you, I mean, especially like, let's look at like telesales even. I mean, it's much harder to get someone's bank information over the phone than face to face. And a lot of that, I feel like it's just so much easier to build rapport face to face. So maybe those telesales people, they need to maybe figure out ways to build maybe a little bit more rapport. I mean, I've sold over the phone and it's tough. I mean, you could have a really good conversation with the person and everything is going really well. And one little thing, they'll just hang up on you. So, and that's something that it's a lot easier in person. They're not just going to pick you up off the couch and throw you out the door. I mean, you have a chance to kind of, recover from certain things where, telesales, I think it's a little bit more difficult, but that's, again, I think it's a trust thing. You got to be able to build that rapport to overcome that objection.
Yeah,
So, all right, let's move on to the next.
I'm looking back here in the old telesales script about the bank information.
Yeah.
I think the way that they phrase it is they lead in gently. I'm going to verify the routing number with you. Why don't you read, while I read that, you can read off the middle of the check next. Like, they're just very good scripting on how to handle that, but it's definitely more challenging over the phone.
Yep. So I thought it was free. You ever get that?
Well, I think it all kind of roots back to, I thought it was blank. Like, I thought it was rent rebates, the bus pass, free groceries, free insurance. I thought it was anything but what you're actually there for, which is, again, a diversionary comment. So you lightly address it and you move on. I understand, Adam, you thought this was free, but this is actually low-cost life insurance programs for seniors. And sometimes it's even better than free because I typically help people save money and in some cases even get money back. So how long have you lived here again?
There you go. Yeah, I mean, again, I mean, people know that you're not just showing up to give them something for free. Uh, I talked about this on one of my YouTubes, or I think I posted on YouTube or TikTok something a couple weeks ago. Just talking about how all these appointments I have are set on leads that say nothing about life insurance on them. They say final expense, but they don't say life insurance. They do say like free information on them, but very seldom do I ever come across someone who was like, "Oh, I just thought that was free." It doesn't happen. Like people know it's about life insurance.
Mhm.
So I guess that could just be a whole nother topic to talk about. But the lead, it's a mindset thing. I think if you have that stuck in your mind that people are going to think it's free, it's probably going to affect the way that you present, and they might even come back thinking that it was, or saying to you that they thought that it was just something that was for free. So again, it's just you got to
Realistically,
kind of nip that stuff right out the gate.
yeah, they're older than you, so they've been more experienced as being a consumer than you. This isn't the first lead they've ever filled out. Like, let's take that thought out of your mind. They filled this out every 90 days when they get it in the mail. You're not the first agent to sit in front of them or speak to them on the phone. You're not that special. I'm sorry. And they're using what they're doing now worked on the last person. You just have to be better than the last person.
There you go. I already have that.
Have what exactly? What is it that you have?
Whatever we're there to sell. I already have that. I already have I already got insurance.
That's perfectly fine, Adam. My job is just to go over the new information with you and see if there's any benefits or discounts that you're eligible for. And more importantly, make sure you actually understand what it is that you have. So, what is it that you have again?
Yeah, that's good. I think it's good you can always try to, sometimes right when you get there, it's maybe a little bit more difficult to try to talk them into grabbing their policy, to kind of
Mhm.
seeing how they're set up. But even like a last resort, if I just door knock a lead cold, I'll tell them, part of our job, we do free policy reviews just to make sure that everything that you have is accurate, and that it's not something different than what you think it is. I mean, I've run into situations where people think they have a whole life policy. It's a term where every few years the rates go up. They turn a certain age, they lose it. I've been in homes where people think they have whole life and it's an accident policy. So, and I'll even mention to them at the door, like that there's scenarios like that, and I'll tell them, look, I mean, I'm licensed, I'm an honest person. If it looks good, great, I'll tell you, what you have is wonderful. But if I think that maybe you could do a little better, I'll be straightforward with you about that too. Um, and I always try to make what I'm selling a little bit different. Oh,
Mhm.
you already have life insurance. Well, that's great. This is actually designed to cover all the immediate expenses when you pass away. Where some policies, they could take 2-3 months before they pay out. This is designed to make sure that your family gets that money right away. So, because we know those funeral homes want to be paid.
I got one mindset and then one way to overcome it. First off,
Yeah.
they had whatever they are telling you they had when they filled out this lead card. So, like, this isn't a new all of a sudden revelation. They bought it 6 seconds ago. They already had something when they filled out this lead, and they already filled out a lead to get that something. I also tried the line, Adam, I apologize. This isn't actually the buy more insurance program. This is for me to help you better understand what you currently have. So, again, this isn't the buy more program. Maybe you got that mixed up. Oh, okay. I don't have to buy more. No, I'm just here to help you better understand what you currently have. And you've lowered the stress level there. Maybe you're going to be able to get them a better price, more coverage, money back, a better plan. They probably aren't buying more insurance when you're a skilled independent broker.
Yep. Yeah, no, that's a good point. Can you come back? I guess I'll kind of go first with that. I mean, if they ask me if I can come back, I kind of, and again, I mean, this could be an appointment that was already set for me. This could be a cold door knock. It really, to me, just depends on the scenario. I mean, if if I show up and they're in their pajamas, I know that they're not in a rush to go anywhere. Why do I need to come back? But if they got their keys in their hands and I can tell that they already have like 1 foot out the door because maybe they do have to run to get somewhere, well then sure. I mean, what's the point of trying to rush a presentation when their mind is somewhere else? They're not focused on the topic at hand. So and if I do have to come back, I usually try for the same day. Sure. So, I'm going to be out here all day today. It's 10 o'clock. How about what time are you going to be getting back? Okay. Well, I'll come back around 2 o'clock then. I'll try for the same day. I don't want to push it out too far because same thing could happen tomorrow when I show up. So I'd rather push for the same day. How about you, Chris?
They're not actually busy. Like, that's the important thing to remind yourself. They're not busier than you. And I mean that in a respectful sense, but they're not. And if they are busier than you, you have a bigger problem than this single objection right here. If this is an appointment mindset, they picked this time. Like, well, I'm busy right now. Well, actually, you did pick the 11 o'clock time. I understand that you're busy, but I am too. This is the time that we have to take care of this. Did you want to sit inside or outside? And then reclose the situation. So again, can I come back? I can't. I'm only in this area today. I've got about 15 other people that I have to give this information to. And you're here and I'm here. So let's just knock this out. No big deal. If you come back the next day, guess what's going to happen? They're not going to be there. And
yeah,
what's worse is you now prevented yourself from being able to see somebody else in that time, because you don't get more time back. You only have 45 hours in a sales week. And if you keep chasing the same person who's never going to be there, they're only preventing you from seeing people who are actually home.
True. I got another tip too for people that are on the call. If you ever have an appointment set and let's say you set up the appointment and they have your phone number, if you're on your way to the appointment and your phone starts ringing, you can know that it's that person calling. Don't pick up. Don't answer the phone. Let it go to voicemail. They can leave you a voicemail and tell you not to come today, that something happened, this and that. Still show up. I do all the time. 9 times out of 10, they're going to be there. Oh, I'm sorry. I didn't even hear my phone ring. I was driving. I didn't even check the voicemail. And 9 times out of 10, you're still going to be able to get in the house and conduct business. So, but if you answer the phone, that's their out. Don't give them the opportunity to blow you off or cancel on you.
They're calling to tell you that they're actually there and they know they're going to buy something if you show up. But if you answer the phone, then you've just given up the whole game. Blame somebody else. Adam, I apologize. Once I'm actually dispatched out for the day, I'm not allowed to change where I'm going. They have set the schedule for me. I just have to show up. So did you want to sit inside or outside? Blame somebody else. They don't know that there isn't anybody there. They're used to that.
You're right. I was just wondering what it was about. Well, that's why I'm here. They'd asked for me to come by to kind of explain this to you. There's no obligation or anything, but I mean, there's a reason that you sent this in, and that's my job, is to come by, just kind of go over it with you and kind of see what you qualify for.
If you don't know what else to say that's actually why I'm here. And then in that moment, you'll have bought yourself enough time to say something logical. Because most of the time, these objections are just boxing matches, and the last person to get hit in the face loses because they didn't have something to say. That's actually why I'm here, to explain whatever it is that you have questions about, and then go from there.
There you go. I need to talk to my daughter before I do anything.
Okay. What kind of questions, Adam, do you think your daughter might have about this program?
Well, I mean, she doesn't know anything about what I'm doing. She knows that I need it, but she doesn't know anything about what I'm doing. She doesn't know anything about you or your company. And I just need to run it by her first. I don't do anything without talking to her first.
Perfectly fine. What we're going to do today is I'm going to write everything down that we covered so that if she has any questions, she can look it over. She can give me a call, a text. We can follow up once the policies take delivered to you. But I'll make sure to write everything down so she has that to look at. Why don't you go ahead and grab your ID for me so we can get this taken care of?
Yeah, a few things that I'll do. Well, again, kind of like what I said at the beginning, I think that there's ways that we can overcome these things even before it comes up. And that's one. I mean, and I don't really do it much with younger people, but once they're, I'd say, close to mid 70s, I'll ask them even when I get there, is there anybody else that's involved with your business? Does anybody else help you with these sort of things? There's no point in me going through this with you right now if the the person who's actually the one who makes that decision isn't here. Most of the time, they're going to tell you no. So then if they get to the end and they tell you, well, I got to talk to my daughter about it. Well, hold on a minute. You told me at the beginning when I first got here that you handle your own business. So, what is it exactly that you're going to talk to her about now? That's one way to handle it. And then I'm one that really does like to pick the picture. And and I'll ask her, okay, let's think about this. Okay, what's going to happen when you go and you talk to your daughter about this? For one thing, your daughter, she doesn't want to think about the fact that one day you're not going to be here. And more than likely, she's going to talk you out of it. You know that you need this, and you know that you're doing this for your daughter. So why don't we just move forward and take care of this and look at this as like the last gift that you're going to be leaving her? And I mean, when you give your daughter a present, you don't tell her what it is before she opens it, do you?
Yeah. I also think it's important to challenge them on it. Like, if this is a genuine, I need to talk to my daughter about it. Okay. Why don't we go ahead and give her a call, get her on FaceTime? I'll explain the program to her and see if she can give us a thumbs up. If that's actually the truth, I need to talk to whoever. They'll call whoever, and it happens. And if it's not the truth, guess what happens? You can't overcome a smokescreen because it's fake. You can't overcome something that there isn't anything to overcome, but you can overcome a buying question, a legitimate sales challenge, but you can't overcome fake stuff.
Yep. No, that's true. Uh, I never do anything on the first visit. You have people like that, you sit down and they're just adamant about how they're not going to do anything right now. You could tell them anything. You could tell them that it's free, and they don't want to move forward the very first day. They don't do anything on the first visit. It's just set in their mind.
Again, I would answer this like the beginning I talked about. Adam, can you tell me a little bit more about what that means to you? And get to the heart of what actually the thing is, because there's no chance the 70-year-old has never done anything on the first time of their life. Like, that's statistically impossible. Like, you went to McDonald's and the very first time you came in there for the day, you didn't do anything. Like, come on with that crap.
Yeah.
It's not true. Tell me a little bit more about what this means to you. And then when they say stuff, figure out what the real problem is.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think that's more of a smokescreen, or that's just their, I don't know, like their guard that's just kind of held up because they know they need it. It's almost like a barrier that you got to break down. Even though they know they need it, it's like they put it off and they continue to put it off. And again, I mean,
you got to remember, these people are professional procrastinators. They never made a whole lot of decisions in their life. If they had a job, they were probably the doers, not the deciders. And if you know that they have difficulty making a decision and you're ready for that, then it's not a surprise to you when some of these things may come up. And like Adam, you said at the beginning, if you have an objection that you commonly deal with, you're either manifesting it into the conversation or bring it up first. If you bring it up first and you story sell around it and you disarm the objection, later on, they can't bring it up. And if they do, they look pretty silly.
Yep. Another one, and let's see. Yeah, I don't think it's on here. But another very common one is I just don't know if I can afford it. And yeah, I don't know why I don't even have that on here, but I think because a lot of times they don't come right out and tell you that they can't afford it. It's more of I got to think about it. And it's more of an affordability issue. But like if they tell me again, I never get I can't afford it, because I talk about affordability in my presentation. I bring up price. I always say, affordability is very important. This is something that you want to make sure is going to be there for your family when they need it. And if you can't keep up with it, it's not going to be. So, I mean, have you thought about affordability monthly? Is $90 to $100 a month affordable, or is that outrageous? And they'll either tell you, yes, that would be affordable, or it's maybe a little bit too high. I'll drop down in $10 a month increments. How about 80 to 90 a month? How about 70 to 80 a month? Sooner or later, they're going to tell me about where they're at as far as what they can fit into their budget. And that's where I'm going to kind of put together the quote based on their affordability. And hopefully it's enough to suit their needs. But again, then we can't get to the end and they tell me, well, I just don't know if I can afford it. What do you mean? You just told me that you can handle paying between $70 and $80 a month. This quote is for $74.17. So, I mean, that's right where you said that you'd be able to handle it. So what do you mean you can't afford it?
Yeah, realistically, people can afford the things that they find value in. Like, how many times have you walked into a low income area and they had a fancier car than you? I mean, they can't logically afford this. They shouldn't financially be purchasing this, but they emotionally want it. I heard a lady say to me, all the cruises she had been on, and at that point in my career, she had been on several more than I had. She can afford it because she finds value in it. So they can afford it if you've created enough value, you've created enough urgency, and you've presented yourself likable and trustable. And 99% of the time, they can afford it.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, I had a lady a couple of weeks ago that she was, I had an appointment set and she wasn't home because she was at the casino. But then when I went back, it was like an affordability thing. And I'm like, you're willing to throw money away at the casino. That means you should have some money to be able to afford something like this every month. And this is guaranteed to pay out, where your bets at the casino are not. Mm-hmm. So again, just little things that pick up on little things and you can always throw it back at them. Why didn't you, and this would be for door knocking, why didn't you call me before just showing up? And I usually say, well, I did, but nobody answers their phone these days. I did try calling you, which I probably didn't, because I don't like calling to set up appointments. I leave that up to the appointment setters. But when I'm in an area and then in between appointments, I'm going to door knock some leads. So, but anyways, that usually works. I did. I mean, people they don't recognize a number. They don't pick up. And I just figured while I was out here, I'd try catching up with you. I show them the card. It's in their handwriting. And this goes back to, actually, there's another objection on here too. Art had asked, he said a common objection would just be, I never filled out that card, or I never filled out the form online. And, but same thing. I mean, if I can show them that card, it's in their handwriting. So it's kind of hard. Some of them, they even have to sign it. So is this your signature? Is this your handwriting? I mean, I'd be pretty concerned if somebody was filling something out talking about funeral insurance and it wasn't you filling it out. So, but anyways, let's get back to number 9 here. Why didn't you call before just showing up? What would you say, Chris?
It's all fluff. They'd say that even if you set an appointment, they'd say, well, can you have him call before you on your way over? No. That's like not even a thing possible to do. I'm actually calling you for tomorrow, not today. And it doesn't make sense. They're going to say that if you're door knocking, set an appointment, it's just all fluff. It's not an actual thing. So that's no big deal, Adam. I was actually on the phone as I was pulling up. That's actually why I'm here, because I couldn't call. So did you want me to sit inside or outside to go over this with you? It's all fluff. They never filled it out. Well, don't get confrontational. Get complimentary. Divert the conversation. Adam, you don't believe you ever filled this out? I got to tell you, that's a pretty awesome shirt you got on today. Which Under Armour store did you get that from? And then they laugh, they smile, they calm down, and then you could circle back to it in a moment. But if you're like, you absolutely did fill this out, are you going to let that person in your home? No, they probably did. They probably don't remember. And if somebody else did, Miss Johnson, somebody else really, really must have cared about you to have tried to see if you qualified for this program, and my God, you actually did. So let's go over it and see if I can help you.
Yeah, I like that. That's good. So, again, a lot of these objections too, I would recommend for those of you that are on the call, this will be posted. Well, I think it's saved and stored on Facebook now as well, but it'll also be loaded up on YouTube. I would recommend go back and watch it again and take notes. The reason I actually started doing this training, I remember one time I had an agent that uh, he called me, and I mean, he just started going through all these different things, and he was taking notes. He was like, so what do you say when they say this? What do you say when they say that? And like, I'm telling him every single thing. He's writing it down verbatim. Like, and that's what I would recommend doing. I mean, again, if it's not broken, there's no reason to try and fix it. I mean, me and Chris have both been doing this a long time. We've both been very successful with selling out in the field. And I mean, when I'm in a house, I kind of have that mindset of if I don't write that person while I'm here, there's a real good chance I'm never going to see him again. Once you're out that door, very seldom. I actually had a call right before our training, a lady, you were over my house 2 weeks ago. We're ready to move forward. Happens every once in a while. Doesn't happen very often though. So again, chances of that happening are pretty slim. But you also want to do things ethically. You don't want to push people into a decision where they don't even realize they're making that decision. I mean, I've heard closing techniques like there's no decision to make today. We just need to see if we can get you qualified. And then they proceed with filling out the application. The person provides their bank information. They still don't even realize that they're moving forward with taking out a policy. And I actually had a lady about a month ago. I showed up at her house. Someone sold her over the phone that way. She didn't even realize she was taking out the policy. It hit her bank account and she was all upset about it. And it was good news for me because I was out there and I did it the right way and was able to help her. That agent ended up getting hit with a pretty good chargeback just for being kind of sleazy. So, I just recommend, do things ethically, do it the right way. There's so many good ways to overcome common objections where you don't have to be sneaky. Let me see if there's any other objections on this list. I think that is about it. I don't know if we have any others. Yeah, Chris, what's up?
Sorry about that. Outwork it. Like if you buy 20 to 30 fresh leads a week in the field or 40 to 80 over the phone, probably more like 100 over the phone. If you buy fresh leads every week, whatever your business is, phone or virtual, in person, and you go see enough people, 15 people a week off those fresh leads, 3 to 5 of them are going to be laydowns. Like you just have to show up, be presentable, likable, trustable, give us a half decent presentation, and 3 to 5 people are going to buy. And then some more in the middle will buy, and then some of the harder ones will buy once you get better. But you're not going to overcome every objection. You can't close every single sale. You just have to see enough people to let the numbers work themselves out.
Yeah, and don't be pushy. I mean, there's, like I said, I mean, that it doesn't happen too often, but I had a call from someone, you were here 2 weeks ago. We want you to come back. We're ready to move forward. I mean, it doesn't happen too often, but it's because I'm not pushy either. If I was pushy in that house, and they still didn't move forward, they wouldn't have called me back. They would have been like, why would I want to do business with that jerk? So, I mean, I'm pretty laid back. I try my best, but I don't push people into the close or into the sale. They got to make that decision for themselves. I'm very assumptive. Like that's why I'm there, because we're there to move forward. But if they're going to stop me and I can't figure out ways to overcome it, well, then, like I said, I'm not going to be too pushy. I'm not going to be sneaky. If I leave the house without a sale, I'll leave the house without a sale. But yeah, like you said, I mean, heck, 3 to 5 laydowns every week, really, if you have that steady flow of leads, you could be pretty new and not even that good yet and still be profitable. while you're learning how to get sales on, again, the ones that maybe when you first start, you're not going to be able to overcome some of these different objections in that. So the only other one I could think of, Chris, I don't run into it very often, is I'm just going to donate my body to science.
That's perfectly fine, Adam. That's actually very admirable. Do you have the membership card that came with that when you signed up?
No, I didn't sign up for anything yet. That's what I want to do.
Okay, so let me explain how that program works so you can better understand it. You have to actually enroll in the program through one of the hospitals or universities nearby. You have to actually be accepted into the program. And then when you die, one of 5 things has to have not happened. Do you know what those are?
No.
Okay. Well, you can't have died 100 miles away or more from home. They can't come and get you. I mean, it's for here, it's not for there, first off. You can't have died an unwitnessed death. I mean, you live alone. It's sad to say that might happen, but they can't come and get you if you've been gone 24 hours already. It doesn't work that way. You can't have died in any type of suspicious criminal or an incident that required the medical examiner to investigate your death. I mean, that would be awful, but then they can't take you. They can't take you if they're full. That's a thing. If there's no room in the inn, there's no more room. And they can't take you if you contracted a communicable disease. Remember COVID? There's a lot of reasons why they can't take you. So let's at least establish a backup plan in the event that might take place.
Yeah, that's awesome. I like that. That's good. Again, I mean, you're a seasoned veteran. You've done your research, and I think that that's really good to kind of know how that whole sort of program works. Where, I mean, look at all the different scenarios where they're not going to take your body. So the chances of your body actually being donated to science are pretty slim. So, I mean, I think it's great, but you still need, like you said, you still need a backup plan. And if they do donate your body, I'm sure your family will find something to be able to use that money for, don't you think?
Yeah. In that case, let's leave a special love gift behind to them to take care of your final expenses and all the stuff that's going to come with. And if they really don't have anybody, they don't have a why to purchase insurance, find somebody else. Like, this is something people have to have a reason to purchase, especially since they're never going to get anything out of it. If they can't voice a beneficiary, they don't have a person to leave it to. I mean, that's a shame in life, but find somebody else.
Yep. Yeah, makes sense. I just thought of another one, Chris. I had someone tell me, well, someone at the Social Security office told me that I can't have life insurance, that I can't have any kind of assets or an income. So, they told me that I can't have a policy. So I guess I can't do this. I'd like to have it. I know I need it, but if I take out this policy, I'm going to lose my Social Security benefits.
That's actually a pretty common question we get, Adam. Let me answer that for you and make sure I can clarify it. First off, I wouldn't take advice from somebody who wasn't licensed to give it. Like, you wouldn't take advice from someone that isn't a doctor about what to do with your body, right? No, of course not. I wouldn't take advice from somebody at the Medicaid office, from Social Security, or the welfare office about financial matters or life insurance. Just simply not their department. No big deal. What this really means is that if you're on Medicaid, are you on Medicaid? Is your income like $1,200 or less? Okay. If you're on Medicaid, which you appear to be, you can't have a certain amount of countable assets, like I believe it's $1,200 or $2,000, depending on what state we're in, readily available to you. You've heard that before, right? Okay. Well, this $10,000 benefit's not readily available to you because it's there when you're dead. What they're looking at is the cash value. And every year when they ask for the cash value statement, we'll give it to you. But you are absolutely allowed to have insurance. Almost all of my clients are on Medicaid, just like you. So it's no big deal.
Yeah. And I mean, what they're talking about too, I think it's Social Security. It's like a monthly income. Like, you can't be able to draw a monthly income of like $1,500 a month, something like that. Like, we're talking about a $10 to $20, maybe $30,000 life insurance policy. I mean, it's going to take a real long time. You're never going to build up that sort of income where all of a sudden they can take that policy away from you. I mean, it takes years to build up cash value on a small whole life policy.
Yeah, it's just a Medicaid issue. You can explain it. Don't even over-explain it. I probably over-explained it, but just explain. Everybody that I work with is mostly on Medicaid anyway. When they ask for cash value, we'll get it to you. You're perfectly allowed to have this. If you didn't, I wouldn't have a job, so no big deal. And realistically, I wrote this down. Work ethic trumps talent. Outwork the situation. You don't have to be at your best this week. You don't have to be the best. You don't have to look the best. You just have to work hard, and the rest will work itself out.
So that's about it. If you like what you heard today and you want to hop on for future trainings, get on adambrsan.com and you can sign up on there and you'll receive an email every week. And then also, like I said, you can check out my training website. You can check out the YouTube. Also, if you like what you learned today, reach out to me or Chris. And, if you'd like to join my agency or at least set up a call to kind of learn a little bit more about what we have going on, I'd love to set up that call and we can talk about it. And, bottom line, we're going to do what we can to help agents succeed long-term in the business. And we have the tools to make that happen. We have the training, we have the support, we have the leads. Leads is the name of the game. We can get you leads in your hands on a regular basis, whether that is direct mail leads, whether that's Facebook leads. We have, we have a good selection of different leads and marketing, and we can do what we can to get you in front of many people. We can connect you with the appointment setters if you need, but like I said, feel free to check us out and set up a call, and we'd be happy to work with you. All right, I think we're good. Anything else, feel free to reach out. Any other objections, feel free to, once I post on YouTube, feel free to comment, and I'd be happy to respond too with any other objections that you all might think of. Thanks again, Chris. Appreciate you coming on this morning, taking some time out of your day to help. I just think it's kind of good every once in a while to kind of have a mix of opinions on things. I think we both think pretty similarly about this topic, different objections, but I think the way that we say it maybe is a little bit different. So thanks again. Appreciate your help.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me on.
All right. Y'all have a great week, and feel free to reach out if you need anything. Thanks again.